Does the president not trust the Speaker of the House with sensitive national security information?
Chris, I don't think that was the implication at all. I think from the time that we got actionable intelligence, the president's total focus here was on a successful mission and the safety of American troops.
Vice President Pence defending President Trump's decision to keep key congressional Democrats in the dark about the Al-Baghdadi raid. The president says he withheld details from Speaker Nancy Pelosi to avoid leaks. Now she is urging the administration to provide the House with a briefing on the operation. Let's bring in Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin, a former senior Pentagon official and CIA analyst. In your view, should Speaker Pelosi have been notified in advance about the raid?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think this was unambiguously a good thing. So we should just sort of mark that time that this was a positive thing. That said, we do have a tradition in our country, whether you're a Democratic president or a Republican president, of informing what's called the Gang of Eight, the top 8 leaders across the House and Senate, when something very big and very sensitive is going on. So I think that the president should have done that in a bipartisan fashion. That said, I understand and was part of different administrations where we were also worried about leaks, but he should have notified just those top 8 officials.
He did not notify any Republicans in advance, as far as we know. We understand that he did tell Richard Burr and Senator Lindsey Graham, both senators, about the raid after it had taken place, but it wasn't like he gave Republicans advance notice and none to the Democrats.
Yeah, so I hope that's the case. I know for sure, I'm an Army wife and worked alongside the military my entire life, and I know that before those guys and gals got on the planes and the helicopters, they did not ask, is someone a Democrat or someone a Republican? So I hope the same goes for the leadership that represents them. So I'm looking forward to a briefing, but again, this is an unambiguously good thing. I think the discussion of kind of how it went down is important, but we shouldn't lose sight of the big picture, which is a major leader was taken off the battlefield.
Yeah, that is a very good thing. I want to read for you the quote from Speaker Pelosi on the Democrats being kept in the dark about all of this. She said, "The House must be briefed on this raid, which the Russians, but not top congressional leadership, were notified of in advance, and on the administration's overall strategy in the region." Well, it sounds wrong, I guess, to notify the Russians first. But if you didn't notify the Russians, you run the possibility of those 6 or 8 helicopters being shot down by the Russians' very good air defenses. It was absolutely a military requirement, wasn't it, that the Russians be told?
Yeah, so listen, I worked on Middle East policy from the Pentagon and helped work out the flight safety arrangements with the Russians over Syria. And absolutely, for operational security and the safety of the folks who were involved, it made sense to notify on an operational level the Russians, the Syrians, the Turks, obviously the Iraqis, since we started from their country. Those are the things that you do to make sure that when you perform a dangerous operation, you don't have mistakes, miscalculation, the Russians not understanding what's going on and firing on a U.S. aircraft. That would be a horrible outcome. So I do think it's important, and frankly, the Obama administration did the same thing and notified the Russians before operations. I still think it was important to tell that top 8, both in the House and the Senate, bipartisan, but to make sure that our troops are as safe as possible, it made sense to notify the Russians at an operational level.
But talking about horrible outcomes, remember 1980 and Operation Eagle Claw, the Iran hostage rescue operation that ended very badly in the desert with a crashed helicopter and a crashed aircraft and 8 dead American servicemen. If something like that had happened, in a situation like this, and lots of members of Congress had been notified in advance, they become potentially, part of the problem. By keeping this information in the dark, the president takes the blame if things had gone badly.
Yeah, I think telling 4 individuals in the Senate and 4 individuals in the House, and really literally point to point, not staff, not a big room, not a big briefing, is something that both Democrat and Republican presidents have done for a very long time. And I don't think that it's beyond the pale that the president should have done that in this exact same circumstance. That said, I think, you've got to keep security at the forefront anytime the president makes a tough call like this.
We thank you for bringing your expertise to this topic. Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan. Thank you.
Thanks very much.